Okay, today is March 8, 2015. In this video, we're going to take a look at the stock that I posted chart on Twitter last week. Just kind of go back and do a little quick review and a little update. So one of them is Facebook, and last Friday I put up this chart here, indicating that here's a little sort of bearish type of candle pattern here. It's a evening star type of pattern. And right now, we're essentially looking for the possibility that it might, trace back here to the 618 and possibly, get back down here, to retest this pivot level here somewhere around 78 and see would it be able to bounce. I do believe, Facebook is going to go higher and make a new all-time high. So I'm looking forward to come back up and get above this 82.17. So maybe get up to this, 127 extension here. Get up to maybe 84.44, or even get up to the 85.86. Who knows? Right, but right now we're basically monitoring it for the pullback. I did have a position on it, and I sort of tweeted out last Friday that I'm out, because at one time it actually turned positive, and when it was unable to turn positive, I basically have a protective stop there to protect my profits. So when it come back down, hit my stop and I'm out. Because I'm really not fond of these type of candle here. These are more of a topping candle, but again, we can't just go trade based on a single candle. We need to get confirmation of that candle's behavior. So like today, I mean on Friday when it gapped down, so it certainly is forming that evening star type of pattern with any kind of down close. If it closed down, then we basically got a red candle and that kind of set up this evening star here. So when it went back positive, then I thought, hey, maybe it will invalidate this evening star type of pattern, but actually it did not. So I'm out right now, and if it pull back, present another setup, I would definitely take a look at it again and possibly re-enter, because I do believe Facebook, will make a new all-time high. Although we are seeing a little bit weakness on the MACD, but don't trade off the MACD. Just use that as a confirmation. That's what I do. I don't trade off on a MACD, like when the signal line is crossing the MACD line and all this kind of good stuff. Because if it's that easy, everybody be doing it, right? And they all don't have to look at charts. So let's take a look at Google. Google. We're also talking about possibly pulling back or getting up here to this 600 level, or even get up to this 692. Okay, so right now it seems to kind of stall here, and we might find it to maybe come back and retest this 553. We did look at this 45, 543 level for quite a while for it to break, and when it broke through that, kind of got a little bit of a fake out, which is not surprising, right? Because everybody is eyeing this thing like a inverted head and shoulder. If we take a look at this thing here, right, and if we draw this, basically that's a little bit of an inverted head and shoulder. So everybody are probably eyeing this breakout, and you know what usually happens when too many people are eyeing the same thing, right? So that's why I don't play these things, the typical way. Try to outguess, what most likely the market will do to fool most of the people most of the time. One of the traders always use this phrase, right? So I'm not going to name here, but so that's what we're looking at right now. Okay, and maybe it could, pull back to somewhere around. Maybe it could just pull back to this pivot here, 567, or get down to this 552. Okay. And then the next one is Vertex Pharmaceutical. We were talking about breaking to this level 127.69, and we're basically looking for this thing to make it back to this upper channel, which is also in confluence with this one of the Fibonacci extension 127, which is up at this 145. Okay, so essentially that's what we're looking at right now. And if it's going to pull back, then it might pull back and try to get down to this level here, 115. Right, so we got to be aware of that. So, and the ARWR, this is again, I was talking about the double basically a cup and handle, right? So you can see that there's a little bit small cup and handle here, right? And it seems like it was trying to break out over here, right? Then again, I said, when too many people eyeing these things, they get the play game a little bit. So it kind of pulled back a little bit, But again, we are looking at a bigger, right, cup and handle, okay? And that's what I said, cup and handle within a cup and handle. All right, so still in play until, this thing breaks down and maybe, get below this point here, then we'll probably give up looking at this cup and handle pattern. So we'll see, but right now, certainly just something to keep an eye on. And, it's just not, see, a lot of time when we look at these setup, we basically have to wait for trigger, for confirmation, depending your trading plan. Are you trading off the bounce of support, or, or you basically trading, a breakout from resistance? There are people playing, breakdown from support, to go short, and there are people that playing, bounce off of support, right? And to go long, and then there are people that playing short on a breakdown from resistance, and then there are people that play long on a breakout of the resistance, right? So it all depends, right? So depend on your trading plan, okay? I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but it's all depend on your comfort zone and how you settle your risk management. In either way, you could make money if you have a viable plan. Okay, so, and here's WB Weibo, one of the, I believe is a Chinese, web-based type of company. So again, we're basically looking for this, cup and handle pattern, right? Breakout. So right now, we'll see how far this thing could go, and you could do a major move. All right, let's do a major move here. Use a little extension tool. Okay, so here's the base. Come up. Oops. Get the base here, and essentially if we go to 100% move, it will be somewhere around this 16. So essentially we're probably looking at this level here, maybe somewhere around 1580. This little pivot here, that's about 80% move, the major move. Okay, and then here's another biotech, Regeneron. Okay, and we're basically looking for it to break out of this this pivot high here, this all-time high, this 437.64. Okay, then we could once we break out that level, then what we could do is we probably could put a overlay a Fibonacci extension. I mean a Fibonacci retracement tool here to kind of get some extension level to see. So that we could see at 127 somewhere around 469.62. Then also the other thing that we could also do, so that's why technical analysis is more of an art than science, right? Is to do a little bit of a like a wedge measure move here, a little bit of a triangle. So let's say we basically have a this right here. So you got this this triangle here, right? So we could do a measure move on that. So then we take this, for example, this is the base, right? Okay, right. So and oops, let me kind of mess up here. Let me try to do that over again. Okay, so we're basically looking at this here, right? This is this thing we want to go. Got the wrong two on there, no wonder. Hold on. So let me get this extension tool. Okay, so we want to measure and move here. So if we break above here, this level here, right? So what am I doing? Okay. I'm going to skin this cat a different way. Okay, so essentially we could do this move here, and let me activate this, right? Okay, so here's a 100% move, and here's a 61.8, so somewhere around 481. Okay, right? So that's basically what we're looking at. So let me try this one more time. Yeah, just refuse to give up. Okay. All right, so here's that 80% move, somewhere around 80%, 78.6. So it's 481, 482. Okay, so we're basically measuring this this little triangle, breakout, the major move here. Okay, so essentially that's what we're looking at, and if it's gonna break above this 437.64 level. And here's Schlumberger. Schlumberger, we're basically looking at the breakout of this trend line here. Okay, and if we break out in this trend line, then we could look at the other thing here, because what we're really seeing, trying to play here is this particular, inverted head and shoulder. Okay, if you could see this, right? Okay, right. If it come down and do this, right? So when it break this, essentially we're trying to play this, break out this baseline here, right? Then you could do a major move on the this inverted head and shoulder. Okay, right. So if we have this this as the baseline here, right? So we got this 78%, somewhere around 80%. So essentially we come up to this level here, this pivot. So it's kind of close to this 80 to 100. So essentially it's 97.5 to $100 level. Right? And that's basically what we're looking at. So all these things is, we're basically setting up, watch on these potential patterns set up. And then once we see a pattern develop and form, then we look for the trigger, right? So that's how we get prepared. Not to say, get on these, forum or these social network and hear people yelling out these things is moving, and you try to hop on it and play this momentum scalp. Unless you're a scalper, if you're doing swing trade, you really shouldn't be listening to those things because it doesn't help you. Okay, you can't set up trade that quickly. Those are momentum play for day traders. Particularly scalpers, right? So beware, know what what type of trader you are, then do whatever preparation that is needed for that type of trading style. Okay. So, and here's Eli Lilly. We also basically was looking at, say, could move up and down $2 one way or the other. Well, it turned out that we want to move down. So right now we're looking at the possibility of breaking down of this, triangle here. And then again, we could do a major move here. Right, just looking at this then, and then, so essentially, oops, I got that to snap to a different point. So let's snap it to here, okay? All right. So that 80% point is somewhere around near 63 and a quarter, 63 and a half, and then the 100% major move is somewhere around 61.72. So essentially, we're looking at these lows here, right? Somewhere around here, between these, this level, this price gap here, right? So if it break down, we're probably looking at maybe come down and fill this price gap, or it could come down and retest this pivot low. Okay? And the other one is Intel. Right? Again, Intel, we're basically looking for a breakdown of the H pattern, right? It's essentially a retracement breakdown on the Fibonacci retracement, right? So it come up to this 50% level here, on this Fibonacci swing. Right. And then if we break this 100% point here, this 3260, then we're basically looking for it to come down, maybe possibly to retrace it, trace it down to 161.8, extension. So essentially coming back down to test this pivot low here, right? And the reason we, call this an H is because it looked like an H, right? So if you take a look at this pattern, right, essentially it's like this, and then when so you're basically looking for this thing to break down this way, right? So looking at this level here, maybe 161. There's some extension in between, like the 127, 141. So you might want to put that up on your tool, and then you could also look at those levels. Okay. And here's Oracle. We're talking about the apex of this triangle. It could break either way. So apparently it broke down on Friday. So now we're looking at maybe a possibility coming down to this level here. Right, test this particular pivot somewhere around 4150. And if it can't hold that, then we'll probably look at it to come down to this particular pivot. So we just pay all these pivot as a potential resistance and support. I see here's a, this could be a major support here when it get down here. Right. Okay. So just keep an eye on that. If you're playing Oracle, definitely it's not the time to go long, because if it's broken out on the upside, then yeah, we probably could looking at long, and maybe play it back up to the previous high here. Up at this point somewhere around 48, 80 somewhere. Right. Okay. But right now it's hands off unless you're going short. Okay, and also Southwest Airline, we're basically looking at this Southwest Airline to bounce off of this support line and possibly break this trend line here to get up there. So maybe get back up to the channel, the upper channel here, right? Or at least get back and retest this previous high. But looking at Friday, got a little nudge down, so it's not really breaking down yet. So we kind of keep an eye on that. If it come down and fill this gap, right, then take out these pivot low. then we'll probably stop looking at this for a possible long. But if it still come back up, doesn't do too much of the damage on the downside, and it come back up and break this trend line here, possibly take out this pivot, somewhere around the 45.60 area, then it might be a good chance to take a shot at playing it back up to the previous high, or might even go up to the upper boundary of this channel. And here on IBM, IBM would basically, again, it's just like some Blanchet, we're looking at the formation of the inverted head and shoulder. And what we want to see is once this thing gets sold off and it, form this pattern here, because here's what we are looking at, right? So essentially, this is the head, shoulder and the head. And right now, we basically see how low this thing could go and then form this. Now, if this thing go all the way down here, then come up, then this off limit, because then the pattern is no longer valid. Then we might be looking at a different pattern, right? Maybe just a trading band. Okay, then we play it differently. But right now we're still kind of looking at this thing, to see, can it find some consolidation here and then start bouncing it back up. And if we break this baseline, then we could do a little bit measure move and probably play it back up here, so this gap gets filled. So we'll see, right? I mean, that's the game of trading. Okay, nothing is guaranteed. Okay, here again, Gilead, we're also looking at this little bit of a inverted head and shoulder, and also got this trend line here that we're looking for this break. If it break that baseline, essentially it's going to break this downward trend line. Then we could play it back up, and we could use this measure move to give us a guide of where the price target might be. Okay, so again, we're basically looking at this. And there's a possibility it still could come down to this 158 level before it bounces up, to take out this baseline. I mean, this neckline here on this inverted head and shoulder. Okay? And then we also have the Crude Oil Future. Again, we're basically looking at something like an inverted head and shoulder formation also, with this little sort of my take of what might transpire, on the price action. But right now it seems like it's taking it down on Friday. So again, we have to be flexible. Right? As a trader, pattern changes. So now we could be looking at, something like this. So maybe, now it could be a head and shoulder instead of a inverted head and shoulder that is going up. From here, we're talking about maybe it breaking down from the 47.80, and maybe it could come back down and test this low and probably put out a new low. So we'll see. We have to check on that, because a lot of people are still looking for a low 30 or $20 level and that sort of thing. But I let the price tell me, because it seemed like a lot of time when it get down to this 47.48, found a lot of buyer to support that. Maybe this time it won't. I don't know. So, but right now, until the market tell me otherwise, I'm basically just kind of monitoring this, because even though if it dipped down like this and it just kind of revert back up, it's still a valid, right? It's still a, if it come down, come back up. Let me clear this up. Let's say it come back up and then dip down and make another, little bit of a right shoulder here. For the inverted shoulder, is still good, right? So we're basically still getting this formation, and we could do a major move here, to get some projection here. That's like, close to $7 here, right? 650, something like that, right? Okay, and then here's TLT, right? The ETF for the long-term bond, basically was looking at the support line here, and at one time, we're looking at it on the upside if it were able to break out, right? Okay, so if you play the bounce off this trend line here, you better have a plan to exit out when you have these breakdown, okay? Right, so because right now it seemed like, it come up to this pivot, hit some resistance here. So right now it broken through here. So if you look at this right now, right, okay, it looked like it is forming and head and shoulder here, although this little shoulder is kind of small, right? So we're just looking at downside possibly getting down to this 118. Okay, that probably be the first level to see would it be able to find some support here. Okay, so just be aware of that. And then we're in addition to that, we're also looking for the dollar, right? The dollar was strong, so you can see that again we have a major move. Let's say doing this wedge here, this bull flag or bull pennant that you want to look at. So you can see here's the pole and here's a little pennant, and you do a major move, then it's kind of project up to somewhere around on an 80% major move, somewhere around 2650, and 100% is somewhere around up at the 2685. Okay. Then we also look at Twitter. Twitter is still trying to get back up. It's working hard. So right now it's kind of pulled back. So again, we're probably looking at maybe retest this 44,858 level, which is also in confluence with a 618 retracement from this particular swing. Okay, so here's this little gap high here, right? So we're probably looking at maybe a possibility of pulling back here. And if it holds support here somewhere around this level, or even get down to the 43, and it bounces, then there might be a good chance that it will take out this pivot and possibly come up and try to put this old high in play. Okay, but if it can't, then we could see it come back down and maybe possibly retest these pivot point here, or it might even come down and retest this pivot low somewhere around the 3470. Okay. And here's another pharmaceutical company, ICPT. One of the followers asked me about it, and I took a look at it. And essentially, we're basically looking at a possibility of forming an inverted head and shoulder. That would be great. Okay, then you got some projection that you could do a major move on. It sort of broke you a little bit and pulled back. So we'll see if it continue to pull back. Then it might set up some good opportunity to maybe take a swing long on this thing, at least maybe get it back up to this 127 and 141, okay, extension here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay. And then there's another stock, Meet. I think it's an internet company. We're talking about breaking out of this wedge here. If you look at it, it is a kind of like a head and shoulder pattern, right? Inverted head and shoulder pattern. So you could do a little bit major move here, and it could bring it up to maybe somewhere around this 240 level here, right? Okay, so so you might want to take a look at that. But the other thing that we're looking at is also the breakout of this particular wedge here, right? And then also a breakout of this big engulfing candle. Now we had a little bit of a spinning top, doji here. Okay, that looked like a little bit of an evening star type of pattern as well. So that might not be good in the short term, right? So got to be careful that it could, retrace back to this level here, 195, somewhere around here for support. So we have to keep an eye on that, right? So, and here's the CyberArt, the little security company, cybersecurity software company. We're basically looking at the bounce off of the 618, right? And we're basically looking for it to possibly get a retrace back to this 100% and maybe more. Right now, it seems like it's kind of hovering here. If it pull back below this 618 and come back down to this 50, then we could possibly look at this thing pulling back to fill this gap here. Okay, because then we will be projecting some other direction, basically coming down. So for now, it's kind of into a little bit of a neutral mode. We basically want to see here, if you went in long here on this bounce, then you should have a plan on placing stop to see how you mitigate your potential losses if it dip below the 618, or how you protect your profits. So it's all depend what your trading plan is. And then here's Amazon, okay? And Amazon, we're basically looking for it to, it came up and filled this gap. We're basically looking for it to come up and retest this high at 408. Okay, right now it kind of stalled here on this resistance. So now we, again, we're looking for a pullback and maybe test this pivot high for support. If it failed to hold this, then there's a good chance that it will come down and fill this gap here. Okay, because we're also looking at this level here. If it failed this particular pivot high, we want to see, can it hold this gap? If it can't hold this gap, then it's most likely going to fill it. So the first level of support that we want to watch is this 364, 365 area. Then come down to somewhere around this, what is this low? Somewhere around 340, 341. Okay, all right. So if we get a bounce, the first level of resistance we'll look at is the 408, this high. Okay. Now Maxim is one of the semiconductor company. I think this thing is moving. It's trending nicely. I was in a trade on this thing. I took off a little bit too early, so I missed this part of the move. Okay. So I'm not going to chase it now. And I think part of it is due to the NXP, taking over of, Freescale. So, and I think a lot of people also thinking maybe Maxim could be a takeover play as well. So who knows? But in regardless, if it break above this level, 35.76, we're looking at a little bit of an extension here. Maybe take it up to that 36.85 or 37 level. But we could also see it pull back to possibly, pulling back to maybe at these level here, right? This pivot high here, somewhere around the 34.50 area. Okay. And then AT&T, that's the one that got kicked out of the Dow on Friday. Before that, we actually was looking at some play here of this flag and maybe take out on a sort of like a inverted head and shoulder play when it break this, this trend line here on the flag, right? But as it turned out, it gapped down. So now we still got this little trending channel here. If it break it, maybe come down and test this particular trend line. So we keep an eye on that to see would it get a bounce, or it might, just kind of wiggling around this particular channel and then break this trend line when it come down to this level. So this right now is hands off for the longs. Okay, I'm not even sure I would go short here. So I think it's too late to go short. Okay, or too early. Either way, Nike, we're talking about this channel here, and also we got this trend line. So we got a little support and it broke through this channel. Right. So right now we're looking at Nike possibly make it back up to the previous high of this 99 area near 100. So we might want to see that. This seems to be forming a little bit of a flag here, but we'll see, because with the market coming down, like Nike and the Dow also, like I said, last Friday there was no single issue and the Dow was green, not a single one. So I haven't, I can't recall when's the last time I saw that. There's always one or two that is green, but it was kind of, something to watch, see it red. Anyway, so right now Nike is kind of, consolidating here, see how it, hold up. It could come back down and, maybe retest these, this trend line here that it broke. So basically this level here somewhere around 95.44, 95.50. Okay, and then Goldman Sachs. We thought Goldman Sachs will at least, get up to this 196, 197 and possibly put in the 200 with that little flag here, right? But it did not materialize. We thought with this little flag, it might get, get up here. But right now, it seems like, again, it is, the financial seems to be, taking a little back seat again, it's kind of rolling over. So we might see this thing come back down to this 183 area here, this pivot low, essentially also this pivot or this W pattern here. Okay, so it might come down and retest this because it is, trying to find support in this particular pivot. So we'll see, because right now, with this low leg, long wicked inverted hammer, we could see something like that. It's not inconceivable. I've seen that before, and then it just go to bounce off and take out this, this little channel here or the trading band. Okay. And then we also look at Hewlett-Packard. Basically, Hewlett-Packard, this earning gap here is kind of gap down. We're looking at the possibility of maybe bounce back up and try to get into this gap here and maybe have this gap fill play, or at least come back up to this, trend line here. As it turned out, it's not to be, because right now it's breaking down. Once it broke through this Fibonacci support here, okay, this retracement, essentially you could look at it like a invisible H breakdown, right? Okay, right. It's just that we're missing this part here because of the earning gap, right? but it is a H breakdown. So right now we're looking at the possibility of coming back down to 32, essentially testing this pivot low. Okay, and then the next one is Green Mountain Coffee. Again, we saw this breakout of this trend line here, all right, and also this pivot resistance. So it seems to be pulling back a little bit, might be forming a little bit of a flag. Okay, so still looking for the possibility of running back up to the 140. Right, but if it breaks below this 119.76, then all bets are off. It could be coming back down at this location. Okay, so if you got the trade on, better move your stop, to prevent big losses. And then the last one is Blackstone. And we talk about Blackstone that could come up to this trend line here. Right? It broke through this pivot high, came up to the trend line, time to take profit. Okay, that's it. So hopefully you didn't get hurt too badly last week, especially last Friday. And hopefully this coming week will be a profitable week for everyone. Good luck.